Morning, folks. We're going to try to get some stuff done today. I've already got trusses loaded on the tractor and a bunch of stuff in here. See if we can get down there without dumping everything. Will become evident what all this stuff is for as we go along. This will be the nailer like we had in the wall. It goes around the perimeter, but this will be the ridge board between the trusses. And notice that I cut a slope on that to match the slope of the roof. I wanted that so that the polycarbonate had a surface to lay on rather than just a corner. And I've actually done this on the joiner. But anyway. Okay, so I've got everything plugged in, hooked up, turned on, and everything. And usually, when I don't have this wonderful piece of equipment right here, I actually lift the trusses up and set them on top of the wall. I'd have to carry these in, doing it by myself. I'd have to carry these in one at a time, upside down, put one side up on the wall, then go over here, holding the truss, and go up a ladder with the other side and stick it out over the wall. Okay, and that's not such a big deal on a truss this size. But then the chore is to turn the truss upright, which is not, again, not that big a deal, But the problem is it's staying upright and going to this side and scooting it back to the mark where it goes, and going over here and scooting that side back without turning over, falling over. So that's the chore. And so I figured this out on our last project house on Morgan Avenue, and I remembered a little toy from childhood that changes the center of gravity. So we'll see that. Just a little bit out of level. I like just a few inches clear of that side over there, so that adds a little bit of problem. It's going to make a lie out of it. So anyway, that's the principle, and this actually worked on Morgan Avenue, so the truss would not turn over. This is going to lay down flat. So I'll have to walk it back in place before I let go of it. But anyway, it even creates a handle to move it back. But you got to be careful not to drop one end off. That would be kind of revolting. Okay, so it just come down to wiggling it into place, taking the counterbalance off of it, and I put up a brace so I can clamp the thing to, and I put me a nail or a stop block on the outside of the wall over there so that I can butt the truss into it and it automatically gives me the right center, and then it's just moving the ladder back and forth to get on the outside and toenail the truss in place. Did you notice in the debate last night that Joe Biden's main rebuttal was, "Nuh-uh, I didn't say that," or "I didn't do that. That's not true. Come on, man." Isn't it amazing that he uses the exact same logic as futurists? There's this fellow I was in discussion with. He was an atheist. It's on Facebook. And he said he was Christian. And he had studied extensively for 6 months the second coming of the Lord. And he had determined that Jesus and his apostles were frauds. They failed, and the prophecies were not true. And he had written a book, apparently, supposedly, I didn't see the book, but supposedly he'd written a book about broken promises. So he's an atheist, because he had studied extensively for 6 months. Well, there's another lady in the group. She is a Christian, claims to be a Christian. And with this first fella, I posed an argument. I said, if you can refute this argument, I'll change my paradigm. So I posed the argument from Daniel 2, Daniel 7, and how Jesus quotes Daniel 7:13 and following in the Olivet Discourse, and said that it would be fulfilled in his generation. Okay, this guy said, his rebuttal was, well, that's on the assumption that the prophecies are right. They're not. So that won't fly. That's what he said. So he just, nuh-uh. Okay, so this lady, as a Christian, I think it was the same argument I posed to her. And she said, I have studied this extensively, the Olivet Discourse. I have studied this extensively. And I have talked about this and discussed this with your brethren. And I disagree, all capital letters. And so the case is closed. Do you see how they both use the exact same logic as Joe Biden? Nuh-uh, that ain't true. Come on, man. An atheist and a Christian. Neither one of them would even breathe on the argument. Okay, anyway, we're up here. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. And as you can see, here's the first truss. And as I showed you when I was laying off the walls, the trusses line up right over the studs. See, and that's why you lay off from the same end of the building on the back wall as well as the front wall. You lay off from the same end. And that way, when your trusses go across, they all line up right dead center, right over top of your studs, and that transfers the load properly to the foundation. So anyway, the truss will be here, and this represents the truss. This is the gusset, because the gussets are going to be turned that way till we get to the last truss. It'll be turned around. And so here is the space for the other, or the next one here. And so here's what I'm doing. Instead of just toenailing through the truss, which would be okay, I'm going to nail this piece of wood right here. And see, when this truss comes here, it will slide right in against here, and I'll fasten into here. And then the next one will come into here, and see, I'll fasten right in through the truss into here. And that gives a much more solid method of fastening these trusses down. And so you only need one per pair. See, I'll skip this space here, and then there'll be another one there. And it'll catch this truss and the next one. And so I just wanted to show you that. And again, that's me. I just go overboard. So we'll work on getting our next truss back in here. I added a little more length to the counterbalance. Now it works. shot, don't let this drop on your head. Okay, just to show you what I'm doing up here. Remember the block I showed you that I nailed on, and there'll be a truss here, and there'll be another one butt up to here, and we attach through here. And I'm using long screws, 4-inch screws, because it has to also go through the 1/2-inch thick gusset plate. So you got 2 inches of material here, so that gives me 2 inches of threads into my plate. And notice, and I drew the outline here of where this block is on the other side. And so I start out high and go down into it to get all the bite I can on this board, and I back up on most of the edge but go in at an angle, so when it comes out on the other side, then it'll be on into the block, but I get more bite on this piece here. So I just try to figure out how I can get the best bite on everything. Alright, and then you can see my stop block there. I'll move that on each one, that way I can just set this truss up here and just butt right in against it, and it's already automatically lined up, and that lines it up on the other side as well.